This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, everybody, good morning and welcome to the Thursday, March 10th, 2022 edition of the Iowa 911 Communications Council. I want to thank everybody for joining us this morning virtually. I think it's obvious that our weather did not turn out the way we thought it was going to. I was supposed to get 48 inches here. I don't know. I think that was a lesser amount than some, but it changed and we have a nice day in most places, and that's okay. We better safe than sorry. So here we are. So welcome everybody. If I could please, Kara Soros, our secretary, could we please get a roll call?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Jason Hoffman.
Here.
Lawrence Hartpence. George Griffith. I did see George pop on. I think he is here. Mike Bryant.
Here.
Mark Murphy.
Here.
Jeff Anderson.
Here.
Richard Pierce. Here. Rob Dennert.
Here.
Rob's here.
Richard Pierce was here. Jack D'Angelo.
Here.
Taylor Teeple. Steve Zimmer. Joe Sargent. I'm going to go back one more time. Lawrence Hartpence, are you here?
I'm here.
All right. You have a quorum, Chair.
Okay, thank you. If I could please get a motion to approve today's agenda.
Mark Murphy, so moved.
Hoffman will second.
Well, any discussion? All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Against, same sign. And we approve. And likewise, could I get a motion to approve February 10th, 2022 minutes?
Motion by Dennert.
Hoffman will second.
Discussion. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 Again, same sign. And motion carries. Okay, Blake, do you have a report for us?
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. On February 23rd, we did hold the first version of the new PSAP leadership training. I think it was very well received. 41 people attended. We did record that by segment and posted it to the online shared space. So even if you weren't able to attend, or you're only interested in one or two of the sessions, you can go review that. We are planning to have that course again at some point through the year. We haven't scheduled anything yet, so just keep your eye out when we do decide to hold that again. So like I said, it went really well. I think we're gonna have kind of an internal discussion on to make it a little bit longer, perhaps. There was a lot of good discussion, and afterwards you kind of realize, there were some other things that we could have gone into. It's already about a 6-hour course, so it's kind of that, teetering point. Do we want to make it the whole day, or do we want to break it up into 2 half days? So we'll figure out how it goes. Again, that was the first time we had held that, so I think it went well. We did send out a message to all of the wireline providers in the state that the vast majority of them are able to stop dual provisioning. That's been going on since the beginning of the wireline migration. Carriers had to provision their ALI information in both the Comtech ALI database as well as the legacy ALI database through Lumen and Trado. So the vast majority of those carriers can stop that dual provisioning. There's a handful that still need to continue doing it basically for a technical reason to still allow for some transfers, but they should know who they are. But just wanted to provide that update.
Question on that.
Oh, go ahead. Yep.
I'm sorry. So have you told those who still need to have you told the ones that need to do dual provisioning still that they need to do that?
Yeah, the note that went out went to everyone, and it basically showed who needed to continue dual provisioning, and if you weren't on that list, the statement was that you can stop dual provisioning. So that note went out to all of the telcos in the state.
Okay, so those of us at the PSAP level, do we know if we need a dual provision or not?
Comtech is having a discussion. We're pretty sure that a note will go out to the PSAPs as well, that you no longer need to provision your MSAG into the legacy database. But officially that has not gone out. I would expect it, Bill, if you're on the line, within the next, week or two?
Yes, thank you, Blake. Yes, I would say in the next week or so. We're just working with Lumen to identify with certainty the PSAPs that are connected to certain selected routers that they own. And so once we have their confirmation that, that these are the PSAPs, there's 2 selected routers basically that need to continue dual provisioning. So once we have that information with certainty, then we'll send out a list to all PSAPs with that information, probably in the next week.
One other question with that real quick then. So next Monday, from what I got a note that next Monday, the GIS-based MSAG will be in place, which would mean that we wouldn't be provisioning, that we wouldn't be doing any more MSAG work. But with that, if we're still dual provisioning, we still have to do MSAG work on the Entrado side.
Yeah, I think that is actually effective March 22nd, but nonetheless, good question. And again, this is Bill from Comtech. So as far as, it's a little difficult for me to speak on behalf of Lumen and Entrado and what they need. My assumption, Blake, you let me know what you think, and I can certainly take this back and try to follow up, is that yes, you probably would, and unless you're one of those PSAPs that are not on the list that needs to continue that. But since they're not converting, they're not transitioning, just the Comtech side is, I would assume that you would need to continue to do that.
And this is one of the bullets on a later slide. There was a webinar earlier in the week, and there's one later today, specifically for the PSAPs to go over that transition. Bill, if we could get that answer a little bit more definitive before the afternoon webinar, we can at least get it answered to that audience. And Lawrence, I can get you the email offline as well.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'll do that.
Thank you. All right. Finishing up this slide, the form collection process is going much better than in previous months. You can see those 4 counties that still need to submit their expenditure collection form. They have by the end of the month. At that point, we do have to start withholding a portion of the surcharge remittance that occurs in April. Service board membership, basically same counties with a couple of differences, but still 4 counties that need to submit that to us. That is part of your 911 service plan. So again, those counties just need to get us their service board membership form. The biennial expenditure report was submitted to the legislature. It's also posted on our website. I'll go over a couple of those highlights here on the next slide. Also, the corresponding audit from the auditor's office was released about 10 days ago. I'm going to have to mute someone. Hold on. Who's talking?
He left a few things in a mess, like we haven't figured out what we're going to do with everything.
Sorry, I'm just going to mute a bunch of the callers and see if that will help.
I mean, his office, yeah. Just trying to go through, what do I throw away, what do I keep?
Yeah, one time we couldn't get back to the game for all the tracks and stuff.
I heard Sherry from Motorola.
Larry had
Everyone on my control panel is now muted, but I still hear people.
And he printed everything. He didn't keep it.
All right, well, I don't know that I can do much more, so I'm going to try to carry on. Just a reminder, if you're not on mute, please go on mute.
Do I need to keep this or should I throw it?
Hey. All right. So the audit report is also on the state auditor's office. I did send that out basically a day before it was released to those counties who were audited, so they had awareness of what was going to be in that report. But again, that is posted on the auditor's website if you are curious as to what that said. So a couple highlights, basically the high level results. And again, this biennial PSAP expenditure report actually goes back to fiscal years 2019 and 2020. So you can see the expenditures out of 911 surcharge kind of have historically, and you'll see this on the next slide, been around that 20 to 24% range, and that continues. You know, if I were a PSAP or a local 911 service board, I think I would use that as a talking point when you talk to your legislators or local electeds, that you know the vast majority of expenditures and the cost of operating the PSAP does come from other sources. It's not the 911 surcharge. So that has kind of proven out year after year throughout the results of this expenditure process. Now, if you want to take a look at over time, that's what this chart shows. You can see not only the expenditures out of the particular sources of funding, be it 911 surcharge, general fund, sheriff's office, or other. This also shows total expenditures over the duration, over the history of the report. You'll obviously note that there is a bit of a tick up in 2019 and 2020 with the total expenditures. When I went and looked at what attributed to that, primarily it was administrative and personnel costs as well as capital expenditures really are what represents that increase. So if you are interested in the entire report, again, it's posted on our website. It's more pie charts and bar graphs. It also does include all of the PSAP submissions. So while the report looks like it's over 1,000 pages, and it is over 1,000 pages, the vast majority of the roll up, the statewide aggregation is probably about 20 pages, and it is purely just pie charts and graphs. There is no written part of that report. Any questions on that before we move on? Okay. I know there is a specific portion of the agenda for a legislative update, but just to provide everyone where a couple of the bills are at, these have been renumbered from the previous month when I brought them up. So Senate File 2298 would authorize a local emergency management commission to assume the responsibilities of a joint 911 service board. That has been amended from the original language and now would require a 2/3 vote by both the service board and the emergency management commission in order to go into effect. That was passed by the Senate earlier this week, so it will go over to the House now. House File 2436 was modifying the expenditure collection form and process. That's kind of the data that I just showed you. Previously, that per code has been a comprehensive report that asks for all costs. The language in this bill would strike the word comprehensive and change it to direct costs. So some of those utility estimates that you all have to provide, some of the indirect costs such as utilities, janitorial type of costs would no longer be required under this bill should it pass, and it looks like it's on its way to doing so. We would definitely convene stakeholders at the local level to help us redo that form. So as you can see there, it has passed the House and it's scheduled actually to get voted out of the Senate full committee later today, which would then go to this full Senate floor and eventually the governor's desk. So again, it's well on its way. GIS grants, it was a great month. It might have actually been one of the best months we've ever had. 44 counties met the benchmarks to bring the total up for the second 6 months of the fiscal year to 53 counties. And you can see just under $1 million at this point in fiscal year 2022. So the note over there in red is what Lawrence was talking about a little bit earlier. On March 21st, we will go live with a GIS-based MSAG. Again, we had a webinar earlier in the week. That was recorded and posted to our online shared collaborative space. Another one is scheduled for this afternoon. We also had a webinar yesterday with the carriers. So basically they received the same type of information, but it was more geared towards their role in that process. That is also recorded and will be shared with the telcos. Right, there is one application for, it's actually public education, and this is from our office. We are requesting just over $5,000 to print 1,000 children's activity books and 250 Spanish children's activity books. We are going to make that available to PSAPs. Of course, there's not a ton to go around, so we already have a Google form where you'll be able to sign up to request those. We'll also make the electronic copies available so you can do your own printing. Also, just as a maybe something to keep in mind, if there is funding remaining, you know, and we're getting close to the end of the fiscal year, we might come back and try to expend the rest of the fund and print more of those booklets, and again, provide them out to those who may want them. So again, this was a product of the strategic plan. One of the work groups worked a number of months on this, and our public information folks helped put it together as well. So if you have any questions on that, I can take them now, but I can also take them during the decision on that funding later on. If there is no questions, I will turn it over to Lynn Warren for the update on shared services.
Good morning. Could we have the next slide, please? It's been a busy month since our last council meeting. Palo Alto went live in a new temporary facility on February 16th. Humboldt went live on February 2nd, and Tama County went live yesterday, March 9th. And we are currently working on, oh, previous slide, please. We are currently working on Allamakee and Ringgold. They'll be going live before our next council meeting. And next slide, please. And here's what the current map looks like. We have 39 active PSAPs, and we're working on another 25 that are pending implementation. Next slide. And we have a monthly newsletter that goes out. As always, if you'd like to receive copy, please send email to lynn.warren@ctron.com and I'll get you subscribed. Are there any questions? All right, thank you. Back to you, Blake.
Thank you, and that actually concludes my brief as well. If there's any questions for me, I would take them now.
Okay, thank you, Blake. Just going back, I just want to make a mention. I was able to attend the September 23rd PSAP leadership course that Blake and Allie had put on. I just want to congratulate those two for the amount of work that they did. That I can't imagine how many hours probably went into that presentation. It is a very good presentation. The day went by great. The place was filled. I thought it was probably one of the best presented courses that I've been to in a very long time, and I completely expected to be a little bit bored with it, and that was not the case. So highly recommend it. Great job, Blake and Allie. You really knocked it out, so thank you.
Thank you, and Allie did a lot of the work, and she did a great job, so thank you for that.
You bet. Okay, so moving on, we do have that training funds request for the Children's 911 activity book in the amount of $5,056.60. Does anybody have, first off, any questions about that? And if not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Mark Murphy, approve.
Hoffman will second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor to approve, signal by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign. And the motion is approved. Okay, reports from boards and officers. Do we have any technical advisories? Okay, hearing none, then let's hear from Chris Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you hear me okay? I'm kind of in a spot with weak internet.
You sound great.
All right, super, thank you. This month for the board, the report goes, we're going to start off with the information sharing framework project that we've been doing with PSAPs. We had our meeting with the PSAPs that are participating, all but except for one. Those meetings went really, really well, and we'll hopefully start seeing some products from that information sharing framework layout very soon. So stay in the loop for that. Good things are coming from that. And even the agencies they met with said that the meetings were excellent. Quick update on some documents we have out for public comment. Our encryption documents are out for public comment until April 14th. Those documents cover everything from an updated policy on the use of encryption on specific interoperability resources to technical standards and a fleet map. Feel free to go to that or go to our website, open up those documents, read through them and comment. We want to hear what everybody has to say. So feel free to, again, share your insights, share your information. It's all going to be welcome. As far as status board goes, we have our source code from Minnesota. It has been passed on to our developer and they are working on the updates. We're hoping that's going to be deployed relatively soon. We did have to kind of get some updated code from Minnesota a second time because they found a small bug that they quickly fixed. So we are working on that. As far as our West SDR deployment in Clinton goes, that is again expected to wind down relatively soon. Once that is done, that trailer will go back in for some maintenance and be ready for mobilization again. It is probable that the West STR will be out along the Ragbri route. So in the late July timeframe, that West STR may be spoken for, but we will keep the council updated on that. An update on our TA requests, that state-sponsored ComL will likely be hosting that this fall. We've talked to Mr. Denner at Westcom about hosting that there, so that's good. We don't have a ComT date lined up yet, but our training chair is working on that. The announcement for Incident Tactical Dispatcher is posted. We'll be hosting that in Marshalltown. The ISIX board website has a sign up for that. We're also looking at our ComX that will be in the Creston area. We've had our scoping call on that and things with that are starting to move along nicely. Again, I'll just want to reiterate to everybody here with the governor's health proclamation ending last month that those clocks on the PTBs have started up once again. So if you've taken a course within the last few years, you want to make sure you get that task book completed if you want to get your full credential. ISIX applications that were approved last month include Farmers Electrical Cooperative for level 2. Jasper County updated their access to level 2. City of Nevada was approved for level 2 access. And City of Osceola, which includes Clark County, signed up for level 3 access as part of an update. Applications that are up for approval today include Eastern Iowa Power and Light Cooperative for level 2, Palo Alto County Sheriff for level 1, Independence Mental Health Institute for level 2, and Sioux Center Ambulance for level 1. New FirstNet sites over the past month in Iowa include one northeast of Fairfield in Brighton, Iowa, and then one between Pleasant Plain and Pearlie, Iowa, which is northeast of Fairfield. And I hope I didn't mispronounce that town's name. If I did, I apologize. That is my report for the month, Mr. Chair. I can go ahead and take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Moving on, could we please hear from Jim Stromberg from U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning. I have a couple of important messages that I'd like to convey from CISA leadership. Russia's unprovoked attack on Ukraine, which has been accompanied by cyber attacks on the Ukrainian government and critical infrastructure organizations, may have consequences for our own nation's critical infrastructure. While there are no specific or credible cyber threats to the U.S. homeland at this time, CISA is mindful of the potential for Russia's destabilizing actions to impact organizations both within and beyond the region. Every organization, large and small, must be prepared to respond to disruptive cyber activity. CISA is monitoring the threat environment 24/7 to discern whether those threats manifest themselves in risks to the U.S. homeland. In wake of continued denial of service and destructive malware attacks affecting Ukraine and other countries in the region, we are working very closely with our partners to understand and rapidly share information on these ongoing malicious cyber activities. In the event of a major cyber incident, CISA stands ready to help organizations prevent and respond to cyber attacks. When cyber incidents or activity are reported quickly, it can contribute to stopping an attempted or underway cyber incident. This information is also critical to identifying trends that can help efforts to protect the homeland. In the chat box, I have provided links to CISA's Shields Up website. That is our go-to site for the most up-to-date information on this topic. Please visit that site. I've also posted information on how to report a cyber incident. CISA is encouraging all critical infrastructure entities, including PSAPs, to lower your reporting threshold. Next, CISA urges all organizations to take certain foundational measures to implement a strong cybersecurity program. I'll summarize the top 3 of those for you. First, identify and update known security flaws in your organization's software by referencing CISA's Known Exploited Vulnerabilities catalog. Second, implement multi-factor authentication. And third, sign up for CISA's Cyber Hygiene Vulnerability Scanning. All 3 of these are detailed, plus additional actions you can take in the free cybersecurity services and tools link that I've provided in the chat. Back to more routine business. 4 strong candidates were recently interviewed for the Region 7 Emergency Communications Coordinator position, and the interview panel has conveyed a recommendation to the hiring authority, and we are awaiting an update. And finally, Chris went over all of the technical assistance that we're providing the state of Iowa, and as always, CISA is happy to work with Iowa on your SCIP goals by providing technical assistance. I'd be happy to take your questions should you have any.
Okay, thank you very much. Moving on to the 34A Administrative Code Committee, just an update. I had the gracious volunteer for our committee chair, Rhonda Rodis, is, I believe, with us online. Rhonda, do you have an update of where we're at with the committee so far? Rhonda, I believe you might be muted if you're trying to talk.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a major update right now. I am looking for people that want to join that committee. I do have one individual that I spoke to actually after the last meeting. Heath Hove is going to be on that committee with me. I've also spoken with Blake DeRucci, and he'll just be there as more of an advisor, not necessarily on the committee, but just to help in any questions that we might have as far as the committee goes. But I am looking for volunteers that want to participate in that. So if anyone is interested, certainly please reach out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rhonda. And I think Blake kind of touched on it a little bit already. We're talking about Senate File 2298, and maybe particularly House File 2436 as we look at this data collection. Blake is going to be looking at, he mentioned a little guidance on how that report should look, and this would be a perfect opportunity to use some of the 34A capabilities in that committee to maybe help with that. So there's definitely some things to do. And as we mentioned before, this is not a heavy lift as far as committees go. It's just one of those things that we need it when we need it, and we don't always need it, but when we do, we do. So please reach out to myself or Rhonda if you're interested in. And we had in the past people who maybe don't necessarily have the time to be on the committee still want to take part. Certainly that's acceptable too, but we really do need members. And so please, if you're even thinking about it a little, please step up and give us your name, and we'll get you appointed to that committee. Anything else, Rhonda?
That's all I have. I don't know if you want to do the appointment for those few that I have, or if you want to wait. And do you have an idea of how many people that you'd like to see on the committee?
Right now, I think if we could have, 5 to 8, that would be perfect. But why don't we wait to see if you want to maybe email me the final list. You maybe hear from some people today yet, and then I will definitely list those people at our next meeting and make it official. But certainly we can start working without the official appointment. At this point, I don't think we have people fighting over being on committee. So if you just want to give me an update as they come in, we'll take care of it as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. And then likewise, I have on the agenda the discussion of whether or not we keep the standing committee on the baseline knowledge for 911 communications professionals. That is a committee that really hasn't met much since since COVID. And I don't know that there's really any role for it at this point, not that it wouldn't come up. So I think as a committee that I formed as chair, I think I'm going to let that go dormant at this point, and certainly bring it back up if it's something that seems to be necessary. But at this point, I really, unless somebody has something that they really wish to work towards in that committee, I guess speak now, or I will probably let it go dormant at this point. And certainly if you have something that comes up, certainly reach out to me at any point, but you're probably not going to see that on the agenda coming forward unless something comes up.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if I might, this is Rhonda again. When it comes to the baseline knowledge, when it comes to 911, I think that there's a lot of information that could be definitely utilized from there, or taken from there. If there's nobody else willing to, or maybe has the time commitment to be able to participate in that, I'd love to kind of look at that one as well and see how we can maneuver that and make it breathe life again.
Absolutely. It was very much like the previous committee we were talking about. It was very important when we needed it, and you never know when you're going to need it. And definitely 911 is an evolving profession all the time, and I certainly don't want to fall behind when it comes to keeping up the baseline knowledge for folks. So absolutely, that would be great.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll touch base with you later on that. Just for to kind of put out there, my thoughts are is kind of to maneuver this more of a knowledge for all agencies, because even as you had kind of spoken to earlier, there's always something for any of us to learn. So to be able to have that as a forum, to be able to come together as the leaders in our industry, I feel like it would be extremely important.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll certainly do that. Okay, moving on, legislative issues. I think we've kind of talked about that already. Does anybody have anything they wish to speak on, as far as especially Senate File 2298 and House File 2436, or really anything else they feel is affecting 911?
Chair Jason Hoffman here, if I may.
You bet.
As it relates to the EMA 911 bill, APCO and ENA, as most of you maybe know, share a lobbyist, the two organizations, and I serve as the legislative liaison for both organizations. And so with that bill, the board, the two executive boards who normally meet or conference, we'll say, sometimes by email, and have discussions on various legislations, we're split pretty much half and half on whether or not to be in support of that bill or against that bill. And so we undertook a polling of our membership, and of the responses received, interestingly enough, the responses on our poll were also split about half and half for and against that bill. And so we made the decision that, you know, we needed to remain undecided on the bill, and because we had no clear path forward given the various opinions of our membership. So we've stayed registered as undecided on that bill and continue to work with it. You know, try to work with the legislators to get the amendment done and things like that. And we're just continuing to monitor the bill, and as activity, you know, comes apparent that membership may be interested in, like now that it's passed the Senate and we'll move on to the House, if it gets assigned to committee and brought up for debate and stuff in the House, we'll be trying to pass that information on to membership. But that's just kind of the, I guess, the fence riding that the APCO and NENA legislative efforts has had to take as it relates to that bill, just because it is rather polarizing. So just wanted to offer an update as far as why we are taking that position. It's not that we're not paying attention to it or having discussions about it. And our lobbyist is speaking with legislators and trying to represent the both sides of the argument, and that, you know, our organization is conflicted over the legislation and trying to present both you know, the reasons some of our membership is for it and the reasons some of our membership is against it, and the concerns that have been brought up. So not to belabor that point anymore, but just wanted to speak to that, I guess.
Okay, thank you. It doesn't surprise me. I think, you know, with this type of bill, certainly if there's one thing that can be said, we know that in 99 counties in Iowa, there are 99 ways of doing 911 as well as EMA. And I think there's probably some that certainly want to see this come together if it's right for their county, and others that don't if it's not. And so I would have been very, very surprised had APCO NENA come boldly in favor or against this bill. I think it landed right where I thought it would. So, but thank you for that update.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussions on legislative issues? Okay, hearing none. Do we have any information sharing by council members?
Jason Hoffman again.
Yes.
A couple of notes. A reminder to everybody that the APCO and NENA conference is taking place on April 4th for NENA and April 5th for APCO. The speaker that we had originally designated for NENA has had a family commitment that is very important that he cannot get out of, family medical issue, surgery type thing going on that day. And so the speaker has changed. It will be changing. I'm getting clarification whether or not the topic's going to be modified with the new speaker. And as soon as I have that information, we'll try to make that widely available on the website and on our Facebook group and within mailing lists and things like that. We'll get some updated information. Still the same firm providing the service, but the speaker is changing. So I wanted to let everybody know about that. And then long before the legislative session begins, we have to kind of get our nose in somewhere if we want to do a legislative day at the Hill to get that scheduled. And so originally that was scheduled for March 16th. In consultation between the president of APCO, Angie Dobbins, and myself, and our lobbyist, the decision was made to go ahead and cancel that day this year. The main reason is there is no real clear message that we can deliver. That we've got no legislation that we're strongly opposing or for. the fence riding on this other legislation and things. And so it was just decided that without a clear message to deliver to the legislators, it's better to skip that day altogether. So that was originally on March 16th, but has now been canceled. So just wanted to provide those updates to everyone. Take any questions about either of those topics if anybody's has any. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jason. Any other information sharing by council members? Okay, hearing none. I don't have any unfinished business or new business or travel requests. Do I have any business from the floor? Anyone here who joined us that has anything they'd like to share? Okay, hearing none, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Anderson moves. Murphy second.
Very well. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
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 And against? And we will be adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.